We're coming into land.
It's
episode 4 of ExtremeCloud SD-WAN.
Yes, indeed.
What's on the menu this time?
Well, I'm really excited about this one, Isaac, because we're going to do a demo. And the demo is going to cover areas such as the network controller, the application controller. We're going to look at supervision. That's all those events and alerts. And we'll cover a lot around a topic that we discussed in the previous episode, which is reporting, and look at reporting in more detail.
Really important. Remember, at the end of this episode, we're going to be bringing in Claire, who's going to tell us all about the exam, the associate level exam that you can take. Right, let's get into studio and let's knock this one down.
I'm looking forward to it. Welcome back to Meet ExtremeCloud SD-WAN. Now, in this fourth episode of our Welcome series, I'm going to give you a short demonstration of some of the features of the ExtremeCloud SD-WAN solution. As you know, ExtremeCloud SD-WAN is now part of ExtremeCloud IQ, or XIQ, a globally distributed, cloud-based network management solution that's offered as software as a service and sold as a subscription through our value-added resellers around the world. Now, XIQ provides centralized configuration, orchestration, network monitoring, reporting, alarms, statistics, and so much more for all cloud-enabled Extreme Network devices. Now, here is the XIQ landing page for the ExtremeCloud SD-WAN orchestrator. And the landing page, as you can see, provides something very visual, clearly showing the various sites, a classic hub and spoke topology. We have the branch offices out there in California, down in Florida and North Carolina. We've got a external VPN gateway, and we have the hub sites as well. Also shown are the tunnels that form the overlay for this ExtremeCloud SD-WAN solution. Let's focus a little bit more on these tunnels. And there we are. For the last 24 hours, we can change that time resolution as we see fit. It shows that we have various tunnels and all looks good. The status is up across the board. We also see the respective sites as well being listed. We've got 3 branches, we've got headquarters, and we have a data center. Whenever you see a timeline like this, and you see this in many of the visualizations that XIQ provides, you can actually increase the resolution or decrease by simply dropping an anchor on the timeline, and then it will focus in on that particular custom period of time that you want for analysis. A really nice, useful feature. Let's go back to the main landing page again, and from here we can again see our respective sites, see the tunnels that form the overlay, but we've also got an indication of the actual sites that are listed. Indeed, there's a total of 9 sites in this SD-WAN domain. The applications, which ones are SaaS applications, which ones have been identified through deep packet inspection, and the average experience quality score across all those applications. In addition, a list of the actual appliances that have been deployed and the number of WANs that are being served by this ExtremeCloud SD-WAN solution. Now, the little boxes at the bottom of the screen here I can simply expand as I see fit, or I can go to the left-hand side of the landing page, and here we have respective options: sites, applications, appliances, WANs, being able to create reports from various templates. And we've got some advanced settings and the ability to manage alarms. What I'd like to do is to show you how we get to this state through a simple onboarding process which introduces the concept of a workflow. Let me choose onboard as an option from the left hand menu, and here if I go back to the main page that greets us, it says quite clearly and rather optimistically, welcome to ExtremeCloud SD-WAN. Get started in 3 easy steps. And with this prescriptive guidance these workflows provide, along with templates that we can use, it makes the whole process of bringing up an SD-WAN domain using ExtremeCloud SD-WAN a very straightforward process. Step 1, create the policy. At the end of the day, it is around various policies, SD-WAN policies, that will determine how groups of applications are treated by the solution. Also, how we might steer traffic across alternate paths should various metrics not be achieved and the quality of experience for users less than they'd hoped. Again, we can use what is called traffic steering or dynamic WAN selection to choose alternative paths. So that's step 1, is the configuration of the actual policy. Then we move on, we add sites, and then finally we add appliances to those sites. So as it invites us, let's get started. Let's run through this process. And if we choose policy configuration, choose edit, and here we're configuring a policy. We give it a name, a description, whether we want to enable support for Campus Fabric, Extreme Campus Fabric. The enabling of Fabric support allows you to leverage Fabric Extend to extend Campus Fabric over the internet by leveraging the SD-WAN policies. In addition, we have some advanced settings, whether to enable compression or WAN optimization, and other inverted commas advanced settings such as support for network time protocol and time synchronization. If we are going to support, as we typically would, particularly at the branches, direct to internet, DTI, then we might need to log those NAT translations. So we need to configure syslog servers. And also how we define the overlay routing. What IP address space, for example, for the overlay, and support for other routing aspects, particularly with regard to the border gateway protocol. And over on the right hand side you can see this concept of templates. Now templates can be predefined so that you are able to add additional configuration parameters by reference to these pre-existing templates rather than having to recreate for each new site or various appliances that you're onboarding, having to repeatedly go through the same settings. We simply import predefined settings from respective templates. Let's have a look at a template. So if we create a template, again, we have yet another workflow showing you that there is 3 steps to the configuration of a template. First, an overview of the template, then we set up the LAN and WAN interfaces, and then we can configure those LAN, WAN interfaces and any other related settings. So just to go through this quickly, we give it a name. So let me type a name here. Let's say test. Give it a description. Then we move on and we can set up the interfaces. So here we have a visualization of an ExtremeCloud SD-WAN appliance with 2 LAN interfaces and 3 WAN interfaces, and what decision criteria is made to select which WAN interface to use. In this case, we're only using LAN 1, we're not using the second LAN interface, and with this initial configuration, we have just 1 WAN interface in bridge mode. Let's configure or select the second WAN interface and maybe choose router mode for that. So bridge mode, maybe we're connecting or bridging to an MPLS service, whereas a router mode would certainly require if we are routing out across the internet. So 2 out of the 3 WAN interfaces have been selected. We can choose the role of the appliance in a hub and spoke topology. In this case, let's go for a spoke rather than a hub. And we can also select whether we want fail to wire capability. Should we do a power cycle on the appliance, we might want to have integrity between the LAN interface and the WAN interface, and keep that circuit viable. So yes, we'll select that. And then we go on and configure the interface. We select on the LAN side whether any VLANs are to be associated, what kind of dynamic routing we may have on the LAN side, whether we're using OSPF or IBGP, whether we want to configure high availability, and so forth. Moving on the WAN side, well, we have the first WAN interface, which is in bridged. The WAN service, let's say we're going to connect to MPLS, the uplink and downlink bandwidths for that respective interface, and various other settings. Moving on down, we have WAN 2 interface, select WAN 2, and in this case we're connecting to the internet. Again, uplink and downlink bandwidth speeds we can select, interface speeds and the like, and various ancillary settings. And finally, if we click next, we get a nice summary of that template once it's created, and then I simply say create template, and voila, I have this template which I can then subsequently use for the creation of an SD-WAN domain. So there we have it. That's the first step in onboarding. Brief reference to the concept of templates. Notice also we have application groups. Now, application groups is an incredibly important concept to understand, because an application group is, as the clue is in the name on the tin, a group of applications that will get the same SD-WAN policy with respect to traffic steering, with respect to business criticality, with respect to what metrics need to be achieved, and if we don't achieve those metrics, what happens? Do we select an alternate path, and so forth? Now, with application groups, I've got a number of application groups already configured. I've got 19 already configured. However, to actually configure additional application groups, that requires me to go to the advanced settings part of this interface. We'll look at that shortly. And then we also have security, and security leverages the zone-based firewall. So we can have security between internal zones, and also those zones, what policy, permit, deny, or whether it must be backhauled or it's allowed to go direct to internet for groups of applications when they are going out to the internet. Let's now move on. We've got the policy nicely configured. Let's move on and go to the sites. Bear with me. Let me just go back and choose add a site. And from here we can choose respective sites. Again, these sites, these are the ones that have already been onboarded, but I can add additional sites as I see fit. Choose a particular location, give it a name, save the site. So we've now defined the site, and then finally the last step is to actually add appliances to those sites. So here we can onboard the appliance. Now, zero-touch provisioning is a great feature of the ExtremeCloud SD-WAN solution. That would give me a list of appliances that have been assigned to the particular customer, and from there I can then add those appliances to the domain. Here I show you the process. Select the site that you want that appliance to be deployed. Select a template again. What type of template are we going to use? Is it a branch with dual ISP? Is it a branch with MPLS and maybe a backup ISP, and so forth? And then give it a name, whatever name, and then declare the serial number of the device. And there we have it. We have the policy, we've defined a site, and we've then associated an appliance or appliances in a high availability deployment to that respective site. So as you can see, 3 very, very easy steps. The workflow provides prescriptive guidance, and templates provide enhancements to make the whole process far more efficient, far more productive, so that you can be quicker and slicker at being able to deploy an SD-WAN domain. Now we have an SD-WAN domain already for our examination, so let's explore some other aspects of this domain. We've looked at the sites, hub and spoke, and we've looked at the overlay, VPNs. Now let's focus on what it's really all about, which is those applications. So again, I can go in and select applications. Again, choose a timeline for focus. I'm just going to leave it at the default, which is the last 24 hours. And here we've got an overview for the lowest 10 EQS, Experience Quality Score, applications. But equally, I can toggle between application or application groups. Remember, these are groups of applications that are going to receive the same SD-WAN policy. I've also got the top 10 applications or application groups by volume. And then we've got additional telemetry presented beautifully graphically. I can hover over at any point in these graphs and get more detailed statistics. So we've got throughput by application group, by business criticality, and there are 4 criticality levels: top, high, medium and low, and the top 10 applications themselves. Again, beautifully visual. And remember, whenever you have a timeline, you can always focus in on a custom part of that timeline, and all the respective graphs change to reflect that custom time. So that's throughput. Here we have EQS, again by application group, criticality, and maybe the worst 10 applications. And again, using this proprietary composite metric that is very much a key differentiator for the ExtremeCloud SD-WAN solution, namely the Experience Quality Score. So that's a little bit on the applications. Moving on. Let's focus a little bit more on those sites, shall we? If we focus on the actual sites themselves, what's interesting is the sites then allow you to see, using a kind of Rubik's cube way of visualizing, is for the respective sites, you can see the throughput, the capacity of the sites, the utilization of the sites for the period of analysis, the EQS for the site, and then based on the business criticality for the respective applications and application groups. Very nice indeed. Moving on. So that's a look at the sites. Let's move down and actually have a look a little bit more detail at the appliances that we've deployed previously. So there we have the respective appliances. We've got 5 of them deployed, 3 in the branches, 1 in the data center, and 1 at headquarters. And we can see the serial numbers, the firmware revisions, management IP addresses, and what templates were used when deploying those appliances, and when, of course, those appliances were last updated. Moving on, we can have a look at the wide area network itself. So these are the actual WANs, an overview per WAN service, throughput or EQS. Again, we've got these WANs shown there. The WAN services listed. So we've got a primary and a secondary ISP VPN. We have MPLS, and we have one that's not specified. Again, we've got telemetry for outbound traffic EQS and the availability at the local level, and similarly inbound traffic by EQS and the availability end to end for that inbound traffic. Really nice features. Let's go back to our main dashboard again. Let me just explore in a little bit more detail. Let's have a look at the sites again. And then from any of the sites, we can select a given site and we can focus in on that site and get details specific to that respective site. And we can see the WAN services with the metrics, delay, jitter, loss, round trip time, server response time, TCP retransmission if it's a TCP based app, the average number of sessions over that period of analysis, whether there was any lack of availability, and of course that end-to-end availability as well. Very nice indeed. So again, that shows you for applications. We can look at the performance of the site. Okay, again, giving you more detailed information, particularly pertaining to the individual metrics and the composite metric EQS as well. And it's from here we can also drill even deeper into the actual flows that are flowing from, in this case, the particular site in focus, which is branch 1. If we have a look at the, let's sort the flows by throughput. Let's get some significant throughput. So we've got a flow here, which is an off-site backup flow. Going to the branch from the data center. We can see the direction there, to the branch from the data center. Yes, it has low business criticality, fair enough. But what we can do is we can get real-time graphs pertaining to that flow. Let's have a look at that in a bit of detail. If I click on Actions, it will now launch another page. Bear with me while it refreshes. And this page will present 4 real-time graphs. And each of the 4 graphs have as well 4 additional graphs. So we've got overview, we've got LAN, we've got WAN, and we've got TCP. Now currently nothing is showing, but in a moment we should see some graphs being graphed. Remember, these are real-time graphs, so it takes a little while for that telemetry to come through. So hopefully we'll see a graph in a moment starting to be populated. Okay, let me tell you back to, bear with me a second, and let's pick another site, shall we? Maybe let's go to a site, let's go to the data center. Let's go to a data center, lots of throughput there. Actually, yes, let's go to headquarters. So we go into the headquarters. Let's have a look at the flows for the headquarters. Pick one with a high throughput. And again, no surprise there, it's the office backup. Bear with me, so bring that flow back up. Come to me, there we are. Okay, and then we'll launch a real-time set of graphs for that particular flow. And in a moment, we should see some statistics coming through. Be patient, folks, it will come through. Okay, while we're waiting on that, let me just go back to the previous real-time graph. Nothing shown there. Let's see on this one. There we go. We've got some flows coming through now. We've got some statistics for the data center to the headquarters, the offsite backup flow, and we can see now we're getting telemetry coming through. Overview, average delay, packet loss, average sessions, throughput, etc. For the LAN side, delay, packet loss, jitter and throughput. For the WAN side, delay, packet loss, jitter again and throughput, and then TCP statistics if they are relevant. Things like server response time, retransmission, round trip time, And again, throughput both at layer 3 and at layer 4. Another term for that would be good put. Okay, looking good, looking good. So there we are. Rather good. It's very important to ensure that you these real-time graphs, that you do disable them once you've used it for maybe troubleshooting purposes. But maximum of 4 real-time graphs are available to an administrator or an operator at any point in time. Moving on, let's talk about application groups. In particular, application group policies. Let's have a look at the anatomy of an application group. Remember, an application group is an embodiment, really, of the policy, the SD-WAN policy for a group of applications. Let's create an application group policy, and I'll take you through the process. Again, showing you a nice workflow. You give it a name. Let's go for test here. Give it a description. Choose the business criticality and the related profile of quality of service metrics that you want to try and achieve. And again, we can define different QoS profiles. So in this one, I'm just going to use collaboration. Click next, enable WAN optimization, which is compression. Then we need to select at least one application to be part of this application group. An application group at the end of the day must have an application or more than one application for it to have any kind of purpose. So in this case, let's just randomly pick one. Let's go for Exchange here. And there we are. Search for any other additional applications. Let's do something else here. Let's have a go at, I don't know, say HTTPS. And once we've created those applications, we can also add new SaaS applications from a list of SaaS applications from the Cloud Application Database. And again, once we've done that, we can then create that application group policy. Let's have a look at a pre-existing application group policy, one that was created previously. This one here, the business one. Let's go and have a look at this one in a bit of detail. So there we have it. We have the QoS profile for it. We also have the dynamic WAN selection or traffic steering policy for that application group. So in this case, it's going to use the primary ISP pathway as its primary network. And then if it doesn't hit the right performance criteria, it'll then use the secondary ISP pathway as an alternative. In addition, if appropriate, as a third choice tertiary network, it's going to use MPLS. So that's classic traffic steering policy. So there we go. That's just I really wanted you to get a sense of a very, very important concept. One of the foundation concepts really of ExtremeCloud SD-WAN is centered on the creation of the policy, the SD-WAN policy, and the embodiment of that policy is this concept of an application group. Okay, as we near the end of this relatively short demo, I just want to talk to you about reports. Again, we can create reports, and reports can be created custom built, but we can also leverage report templates for this purpose. So if we go to templates first, we see a couple of default templates that have been already prepared, but one custom built one, which is the lowest EQS one. If I go into that particular lowest EQS template, we can actually see how this template was created. So we want to report on the lowest EQS, so we select particular criteria, which are known as widgets for this purpose. And hardly surprising, with a template name called lowest EQS, the actual widgets we've picked are the lowest 10 EQS by application and by application group. Once we've got that template, what you can then go on is then create a report based upon the templates of widgets that you had previously selected. So it's very easy to create additional reports, bring in those widgets, bring in that template, make appropriate modifications as you see fit. There we go. So give it a name, test. Choose a template of widgets. In this case, let's go for lowest DQS. And there you see the widgets have been imported from that template. And it's simply then a matter of scheduling when you want that report to run. Do you want to run it now? Do you want to schedule it for later? And what kind of range of data do you want? Is it last week? Within the last 7 days? Is it last month? Is it just for yesterday? And so forth. Select the recipient or recipients for the report, and the report format currently it supports PDF. And once you've done that, you get a nice little report summary. There we have it, and you simply click create report, and voila, we have a new report. It's as simple as that. And finally, alarm management as well. If you've had any alarms, in this case over the last 24 hours, what type of alarms they were, the severity of the alarm, the particular category of alarms as well will be listed, covering EQS, management overlay, what resources, services, maybe the underlay, that's the physical transports over which SD-WAN runs, which sites you want to focus in on, and which on particular sites, which appliances are of particular concern. So there we go. I know that was brief, but I hopefully have been able to give you a bit of an insight into the beautifully intuitive interface courtesy of ExtremeCloud IQ, able to provide you with access to the ExtremeCloud SD-WAN orchestrator. I've also introduced the concept of workflows as a great way of giving you prescriptive guidance for any number of tasks, from initial onboarding and building the solution from scratch, or even leveraging those workflows if you want to amend an existing domain. And also shown you the concept of templates, again making you quicker and slicker when you need to create and define additional objects, whether they're additional sites, whether they're additional appliances, whether they are additional application groups, or even reports. So there we are. Thank you very much for your time in this welcome series. Thank you again.
So now you've successfully got yourself through the training course and want to take the certification exam. Where do you go? You go to dojo.extremenetworks.com. You should already have yourself a portal account, and you can use these credentials to log into the platform. Make sure you do this first before you click on or go to the QR code, which will take you to the exam. Now, once you're at the exam, remember to read the exam requirements, as these may change depending on which exam that you do. So you start the exam, complete the exam, and that's it. You're certified if you pass. Once you've certified, you will be given a certificate and a digital badge. So make sure you share these across your social platforms. We love to see your achievements. So again, make sure you share these and shout about them as much as you can. Just a reminder, these certifications, they're all free. So you may as well do them and add them to a bank of qualifications that you should have across Extreme Networks. Thank you again for joining us, and we'll see you next time.